All right. Good morning, everybody. If you're in the online setting, if you could give us like a thumbs up to make sure that you can hear me, that would be great. Thank you for joining us or me this morning on this rainy Wednesday. Okay, I got signs that you can hear me. I appreciate that. So today I'm going to be talking about building resiliency without sacrificing mental well-being. Okay, so little strategies to help you thrive personally and professionally. And again, I'm Dr. Jones. I'm with the School of Health and Natural Sciences, and I am a professor in the nursing department. All right, so starting off, what words come to mind when you think about the word resilient? Yes.
Tough.
Tough. Yes, that's a good one. Anybody else? Online, if you have anything. Yes. Perseverance. Okay. Definitely. Words I think of is going to be tough, strong, perseverance. And those are words that describe somebody who is resilient, right? So those are the words that come to mind. But what is resiliency actually? So resiliency is going to be our ability to adapt, recover, and grow through challenges, right? So as much as we plan or, are optimistic, things will pop up that kind of aren't our plan or kind of derail us a little bit. So we have to learn how to navigate through those challenges and those obstacles, okay? It's about bouncing forward, keep moving, and not just going backwards, right? It's definitely okay to take a pause, reevaluate, and think about, okay, what can I do to get back on track, right? But we don't just want to stay in that place. So it is a skill that can be learned, and we can build upon it, right? So you may think, oh, am I resilient? Do I have some resiliency? You probably do, okay? And we're going to talk about things that kind of proves and shows that you do have some resiliency and how to build upon it. So why does it matter? Why does being resilient matter? Why does being able to overcome challenges matters? Because especially in academia, our setting, as whether you're a student, faculty, or staff, this is a high stress environment for all of us, right? And so with high stress environments, there's always a risk of increasing burnout and fatigue and compassion fatigue. So we want to learn how to go through our challenges and not burn ourselves out. So again, stress is common in higher education. It's stressful for our students. It's stressful for us as faculty and as staff as well. So like I was saying, stress in higher education is common, whether you're a student taking your classes, transitioning from high school to, the college setting, or transitioning from core classes to your program classes, okay, and as well as faculty. So, without strategies to manage that stress, we are more prone for burnout, like I was saying. So what are some of the biggest stressors that you currently face in your role as either staff, faculty, or student? What would you say some of your biggest stressors are?
Message fatigue, getting bombarded by messaging.
I can agree with that. Okay, so definitely from a faculty perspective, we are bombarded with messages, meetings, deadlines, team links, things like that. So it can create I'm pretty sure like when we're at home, you can hear the little ding when you get a message, like a little phantom ding at home. So that is like something that can, eventually, sometimes you will just start to block it out because you're like, oh, okay, there's another message. And you kind of ignore it. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Yes.
Work-life balance was typed in online.
Work-life balance, okay? And that can affect us as faculty, staff, and students as well, okay? So we're going to be talking about ways and how we can create those boundaries and to have better work-life balance and to prevent that burnout that some of us may be feeling or that we face. So I put this slide here, if you can see it. It's a lot of sticky notes on the side. If you work in the nursing department, if you come is, I have sticky notes everywhere. Okay. So that is my prep for success. That is something that I realize with so many deadlines and emails and just tasks that sometimes I get over bombarded and I'm just like, okay, I have so much to do. But if I write it down, like that's just my personal thing, not saying you have to get sticky notes, but I put it down so that I can make sure that I address it. Because I found in the past that like me just going off of my memory of this is due on February the 4th, or this is coming up February 13th, because I have so much going on that I can forget it, or, out of sight, out of mind. So if I put it down and it's on my desk, it reminds me, hey, look at this, because, I have missed things. And so my adjustment to overcoming that is to make myself more aware of what is going on. So building resiliency helps you to prepare for success. It supports long-term performance. It also helps empower you to help you learn how to navigate the challenges and overcome things that will pop up. And then it also teaches us adaptability, how to adapt to the change, how to pivot if something has not going our way, how to adjust and then, get back on track. So resiliency will help us prepare for success. Okay. Now, when we think about resiliency, we talked about tough, strength, perseverance. Those are all good things that we think about with resiliency, but common myths about it is that when things go wrong or we face challenges, like maybe you just need to toughen up. It's not so bad. Just strong people don't struggle. Like, oh gosh, you're making this such a big deal. Like it's not that bad. Push through it. Rest equals weakness. Why do you need a break? So like, where did we learn these things from? When I think about it, it had to be somewhere early on, like, because I've always been like, okay, yeah, things might not go your way, but you can't stop. Like you have to keep going. Like, but where did we essentially learn this? Yes.
Someone, parent, teacher, mentor, when you're a kid saying, don't be a quitter.
Right.
You're trying to help.
You're trying to help. And that's my point. Like, if we think about it, we've learned this early on, elementary school, right? And like you said, it's from maybe a parent, a teacher. So we've developed this very early in life, like, you don't need to quit. You don't need to stop. Just keep going. You can do it. So like, what can we do to change that mindset? Something that's been embedded in us since we were children. It's kind of hard to accept the fact that when things don't go right, it's okay to be disappointed. It's okay to get frustrated. It's okay to feel like, the wind has been knocked out of you. To take that moment, that is a proper emotion. But after you sit there for a little bit, then yes, you do need to make other plans. You need to get up and try to navigate and figure out how else can I get to my goal, even though what I previously thought was going to happen, I just have to adapt and pivot to get to where I want to go. Okay. So those are things that we can try to think about, like, it's okay. And I know that some of us are like, no, I just have to go through it, but it's okay. Even strong people, resilient people need breaks. We need rest. We need support. Okay. So just looking at like some real life situations and examples of resilient coming from a student standpoint, like I mentioned, especially if you're coming as a first semester college student, you're coming from high school, you're an all-A student, honor student, and then you get to your first college exam and there's no open notes or there's no chance to retake the test because you got a bad grade, right? So we do know that a lot of our high school students do get those opportunities, right? And then they come to college, they take that first test and it's like, whoa, so this is really my grade. I don't get a chance to make it up. I can't use my notes. So that is an example of the student, their plans have been kind of derailed. They're not used to that, right? So what builds resilience is that student sitting and reflecting and saying, okay, so I didn't get a good grade on this test. What do I need to do now to get better grades on the next test? Now I know that I'm not going to be able to use my notes. Now I know that there's not going to be an opportunity to retake the test. So I need to do well the first time. And so that can be a change in study habits. them realizing, okay, maybe I need to reach out to a tutor. I need to go talk to my professor to get tips and things on how to study and how to prepare for the test. Looking at a faculty and staff standpoint, we already talked about message fatigue. So creating boundaries at work. Okay. So a lot of times as staff and faculty, people outside of this realm are like, oh, well, you have the weekends off, you get the holidays off, you may have summers. Like, what are you complaining about? But this really isn't a job that stops. Okay. We get emails throughout the night. We get them on the weekends. We get them during breaks, right? But if you don't create a boundary, then you do feel like you're at work all the time. So just saying no to some things, even when it feels uncomfortable, even in a professional setting, like even as recently as last week, I had to say no to a project. And I think it's a great project. I'm interested in it. But it was just like I missed an initial email about it. And then when it came back around, I was like, oh, we've already started the planning process. And I was like, oh my God, like I want to do it, but my plate is so full. Like I didn't have the capacity to deal with it. So I had to say no. And I really enjoyed what the project was about, but I knew that I couldn't add anything else to my plate right now. Okay. So that was uncomfortable, but it is a boundary I had to set in place for my own mental well-being. Okay. So whether it looks like maybe I'm not going to answer any emails or do any grading after 5 o'clock. I know that doesn't really happen, but let's say you just try to set a time, whatever time that is, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, where you do put your computer down, you do stop grading, you stop responding to emails, save it for the next day, because we do have to think about our work-life balance, right? We have to spend time with our families, pets, children. We have to eat, like you have to do dinner. You can't do that if you're constantly stuck on your computer all the time, right? And then another set of resiliency that we can build is like sometimes we're going to have failures, we're going to have loss, and that could be loss of a job. Maybe I failed a class as a student and have to repeat it. It could be death of someone that we're close to. Like these are things that we know are going to happen in life. And so it's okay to step back, take that time to yourself, grieve whatever the loss is, and then reset yourself and get back to what you were planning to do or find a new way to achieve that goal, right? So looking just, this is personal. I'm not going to ask anybody to share openly something that they have gone through, but like just do a self-reflection on a time when things didn't go as planned. And think about how did you handle that particular situation, right? So when we're thinking about whatever that situation was, think about what happened, how did you respond to it, and what do you remember doing to get past that point, okay? So self-reflecting on how we've handled bad situations in the past is giving us our like personal growth and showing us like how we have navigated through a difficult time before, how we have overcome something, and how we have gone on to still achieve a goal, even though we did have a setback. Okay. So thinking of those times will kind of show you like, yes, I do have some resilience. Like if you started this presentation, like, I don't know, you have experienced something that did not go your way and that you had to work through, right? So how do we build resiliency in healthy ways? We do want to recognize warning signs of stress, fatigue, irritability, sleeplessness. If you're having trouble sleeping, like those are all signs of you're experiencing a lot of stress. Like we need to navigate and do something different to kind of control those things. Okay, so be aware of your stress signals, and everybody's a little bit different. It could be overeating, just anything that you're over kind of indulging in or obsessing about are signs of stress. Knowing when to ask for help. This can be hard for a lot of people, myself included. Sometimes we feel that being resilient means like, I don't need help. Like I got this by myself. I can handle it, but we do need support, right? We do need a sense of community. We need to accept help from our peers, our classmates, our coworkers. a lot of things aren't meant just for one person. If we share that load, it's a little bit better. Knowing when to rest, knowing when to step back. Like I said, my example last week, I just knew I can't do it, right? I need to step back from this. I can't add something else to my plate. So being aware of what your capacity is, and it's different for everybody. Some people can handle more than others, and that's okay. But knowing when to step back, knowing when you just need to unplug and rest and reevaluate some things. And then also allowing yourself to feel emotions, like I said, the frustration, sadness, feeling defeated, that is okay. We can definitely feel those emotions, and we need to feel those emotions. You can talk to someone about it, whether it's a peer, a colleague, if you want to journal about it. Create a lot of people like to be expressive and creative during those times. So if you like to paint or draw, color, those are things that we can do to kind of manage those feelings and get them out safely and in a healthy way, instead of just bottling everything up and saying, okay, I give up, I'm not going to do this. Okay, that's what we want to prevent. We don't want you to just feel stuck like you can't continue on, because you can. Looking at other ways to protect our mental well-being, or mindfulness and grounding techniques. So taking time to do breathing exercises, or some people are very into now going outside and taking their shoes off and just feeling the grass under their feet. And I know it may sound silly, but nature can kind of help ground us, right? That is grounding techniques. I'm not going to go too far into it, because we do have a presentation coming up that's going to be focusing on other mindfulness techniques. But those are some things that you can do to kind of help ground yourself and deal with that stress. Practicing self-care. That is something I know as faculty and staff, we probably tell our students to do all the time, but then we don't do it, right? So we're trying to help them handle their stress and reduce their anxiety. And we give a lot of good advice, and then we don't practice it ourselves. So what makes you happy? What activity can you do that brings you some joy, brings you peace, disconnects you from your work environment or whatever environment is stressing you out? And do that. And it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be reading a book. It could be walking your pets, playing with your dog, going to get ice cream, going to Starbucks. Little things like that can kind of help us recharge and reset and be like, okay, I had my coffee. Now I'm ready to go back to whatever task that I felt like I need to step away from. Physical movement, of course, exercising, walking. I know we have several groups that walk around campuses every day. And now I am not one of those that joined them, but I see them out my window. And I'm like, oh my God, look at that. That's amazing. So me seeing them, I'm like, oh, that's good. They're doing something for themselves. So just physical movement, whether it's walking around campus. We have beautiful lakes on some of our campuses, going to just see in the water, gyms. All of that is going to be good things that we can kind of help protect our mental well-being and relieve stress safely. And then lastly, we want social support and connectedness. So if you're a student, having a support group within your cohort, having a study group, or someone you can reach out to kind of help explain things from class that you may not have understood. Faculty and staff, meeting with our colleagues, going to lunch. Sometimes, you build relationships and it feels more like a family. You can go out to lunch or out to dinner or other social things. That is building connection, because we don't want to isolate ourselves. A lot of times when we isolate, that's when we start getting our heads, we overthink things, and that could lead to depression. So we want to make sure that we're staying connected with those that are around us, that are going through the same things that we're going through, because they understand it and we can help each other get through it. When we're looking at daily things that we can do, practice self-compassion. So again, we're always give others grace. They're going through a hard time. Let me be gentle with them. But are you gentle to yourself? Are you giving yourself grace, the same grace? You had a bad day at work. Don't expect to just keep going. You may need to take a break yourself. So give yourself that same compassion that we often give others. Also, focus on what you can control and what you can't control, right? So I can't control the amount of emails I receive or the amount of commitments and things that I'm on to a certain extent, but I can control how I tackle it, right? So again, I can say, well, I'm going to answer these emails up until 5. Anything after that, I'm going to save it for the next day. I have this project due Friday. Let me try to plan to work on it a little bit each day so I'm not cramming to get it done at the last minute. So whatever it is that you can control, things like that, your schedules, how you study, how you navigate things that are stressing you out, you can control that part, but inevitably things will still pop up that you can't control and that you can't, you're not planning on happening. And so you just have to learn how to pivot around that and change it. And then celebrate your small wins, right? So I failed my first test, but I took a quiz the next week and I got an A on that. Yay. You know, I changed something. I had a failure last week. I changed the way I studied. I read my book. Now, you know, it paid off. I got an A on my quiz. Same thing with workers, faculty and staff. Maybe I got a bad evaluation, right? So I can take that feedback to work on for the next year so that the next time faculty evaluations come around, I can get a better evaluation, right? So we want to celebrate the little small wins. It doesn't always have to be big things that we celebrate, like course graduation and things, but we want to celebrate the little milestones as well. And then when we're looking at today, like what is an idea from today that you want to implement for the rest of the semester? And it could be something big, it could be something small. Just reflect on something that you feel like you could change or take away or add to kind of help you reduce your stress, to help you build your resilience without taking like a mental hit from it. So protecting yourself mentally. So if anybody online has any ideas that maybe they could take from today, if you could put that in the chat. If anybody here in person has any ideas or anything, do you guys have any feedback? Is anybody writing in the chat?
So far, not yet, but
Okay.
they're figuring out how to phrase their responses.
Mhm.
I'm sure we will get some from somebody.
Right.
I think like something you said not too long ago, just like taking your shoes off, walking through the grass. And
Right.
just, sure, I mean, maybe not this week,
Not this week.
but when it gets a little bit nicer out.
Right.
We have someone online talking about grounding and more exercise.
Mhm.
Yes,
so definitely those are strategies we can do. Certainly we are definitely experiencing an unusual cold snap here locally in Georgia. So not this week, but going outside, bundling up and still walking around is definitely some good things. Definitely we probably all could incorporate more exercise just to get us physically moving. Hiking, walking trails, walking around their campuses. We have beautiful campuses, like, you know, I've been to all of them except Eastman, but like they're all beautiful, the ones that I've seen.
And from online, we also have creating and implementing healthy boundaries and proper time management.
Yes. Definitely proper time management. Now, again, you know, my unconventional way of my sticky notes, that is my form of time management, because I'm like, okay, I have this many sticky notes. I need to devote this much time to get things done, right? So definitely time management, creating those boundaries, you know, professionally.
Controlling what you can.
And socially, yes, controlling what you can. That is a big one, because a lot of times we just take on so much thing, but we can't control everything. And letting go of control can be hard. And I'm one of those people too. Like, I like to control everything, but I had to learn, like, I can't control everything. Sometimes I just have to let things happen, and then I adjust to whatever happened, right? So some final takeaways are going to be, you know, resiliency, building it is not self-sacrifice. We definitely don't want to put ourselves in a mental harmful space just because we're trying to be strong or tough. Resiliency is recovering from what has happened. It is adjusting, and it is taking that break that we might need, right? mental well-being fuels resiliency. The better we are mentally, the more we can handle, the more we can adapt and recover from challenges that come our way. And we know that we will have challenges, right? That's nothing that we can escape. We will experience that. And then that we deserve support and not burnout, right? So reach out to your peers, reach out to your colleagues, your friends, your family, for support when you are feeling those times of challenges, and that you need like some extra attention. And then just a little plug for our resources here at Middle Georgia. We do have Be Well at MGA. If you are feeling stressed out and like you need help with whatever challenges that you may face, we have support lines, we have counseling services here. And the numbers and email addresses located on this slide. You also can find it on the MGA website. So that concludes my presentation. Here are my references, and I'm open. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
There's no questions yet from online, but your dean says great job.
Okay, thank you.
And I put into the chat the information about the program in 1 month.
Okay.
So that's
Right.
in there. There's a lot of thank yous, and you did an amazing job, which I echo
Thank you.
those comments. I guess my one question is there any way to talk to someone else who you think needs to help develop resiliency and sort of like prod them along, or is that?
So, I mean, definitely, I would say, if you have someone that you consider like a mentor or somebody that kind of helps you navigate day to day, and it could be like a counselor, or a therapist as well, pastors, preachers, things like that. Just someone that you trust can kind of help you navigate and walk through things that you may experience. Of course, if we're looking for somebody that's professionally trained, counselor or therapist would probably be the best source to kind of help build that resiliency. But attending workshops like this one, probably some online webinars. And I know that there are other things coming regarding like burnout and resiliency from a school standpoint. So definitely when those topics kind of pop up, just stepping in like you did today and getting like little tidbits here and there, I feel like can help you build that resiliency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a lot of thank yous online, but it doesn't look like any questions.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.